This is the world's first foldable OLED laptop, but also the world's first foldable OLED tablet in a lot of ways. I already said this folding display tech is definitely in its infancy, so building an entire machine around it, no matter what size, is going to be extremely bleeding edge. And we see that in all the folding phones and the Razr from Motorola and the Galaxy Fold. The question is it worth exploring a bigger scale version of it? So this is what that looks like right now. So this is a 13.3-inch OLED display, about the size of a large tablet, but it folds right in half. And so that becomes the size of like a small laptop. It turns it into two 9.6-inch screens when it's folded. So now just looking around this thing, it's quite the combination of premium materials and also bleeding edge workarounds, if you will. Like the whole thing is wrapped in leather. And if I'm being honest, it looks really nice when closed. The leather sleeve kind of slides into place around the hinge, slides out when it's open. That part is nice. And when it's fully open, you can pop out this kickstand on the back with this red felt material inside. I mean, they're really playing well to my red and black habit, but this part is very well considered. It looks great. The hard part though is the actual folding screen part. So when you look inside, you see the bezels, the size of which really aren't a problem at all, but what's unique here is they're a rubberized material and they're sort of raised up. And that, with an accordion mechanism in the middle, hides the complexity of that hinge that's making it possible. But that right there is the hardest part. Like we already saw, it took Samsung to get the hinge weight right in a bigger laptop version of it, which is arguably even more important. But after that, it does open and close. It opens 100% flat, and it closes to nearly gapless, but I'll get to why it's like this in a second. Some other fun pieces though, it has a power button and volume rockers over here on the side, and there's a light behind the power button. There's two USB-C ports, both of which are fully functional, so you can charge it through either one depending on where you're sitting or how you're holding it. It has optional 5G built in and up to 1 terabyte NVMe SSD, and it actually has pen support. Most foldable displays so far have been explicitly very fragile and they don't have pen support. They're delicate and scratch easily, but this one is not one of those. So it has an optional digital pen that you can use to sign documents or draw things or even just move around the UI, whatever you want if you're into that. So this guy here is running Windows 10, as you can tell. So all of the usage is on an OS that's already running pretty well with touch, but I'd also be interested in seeing how an Android version could possibly handle this form factor. But this is tablet mode. So big, tall display, 2048 by 1536 resolution. It's a bit thicker overall than a normal tablet, but it's also bigger overall than a normal tablet. It's this 13-inch. You go vertical with it, so maybe there's some tall documents, maybe there's some vertical videos you're trying to watch, maybe you just like that vertical tablet life, but all that works fine. But again, the bonus of the kickstand here is if you're watching like a video on YouTube or a movie or something, is that you have a screen basically the size of a 13-inch laptop without nearly as much weight or mass as a typical 13-inch laptop. So that would be my #1 use for this particular version. Imagine watching videos on a plane tray table at a comfortable distance without worrying about the key. Two separate screens. So you can do reading on one side, taking notes on the other, or really just any multitasking side by side. You can have a Zoom call on one side and writing or whatever note-taking on the other. So for some remote podcast stuff, I've done Zoom on one side and then audio recording app and then notes on the other. It's a lot of side-by-side stuff. Plus there's a bonus of some apps that when they work well will let you just use the whole thing as an actual book, which is kind of sweet. But what you're really on your way towards here is the laptop modes. Now, like I mentioned at the beginning, Lenovo built an entire PC here. Like this is a Windows computer, there's a 1 terabyte SSD, an Intel CPU, 8 gigs of RAM, there's fans, it's the whole thing. So you do have a full-fledged desktop experience on the sideways display, just all touchscreen. It's literally an ultra-thin Bluetooth keyboard with magnets in it that snaps into place over half of the display. You turn it on, you connect it, and boom, the UI snaps to the top half of the screen, and now really it's acting exactly like a normal laptop. You're word processing, writing emails, whatever it is you're into with that keyboard. It even has an actual trackpad, and as far as I can tell, there is almost zero latency, which is impressive over Bluetooth. So to the point where it's just as functional as a laptop, albeit slightly smaller, like a 9 to 10 inch laptop. So the keyboard's a little more compact, the screen's a little smaller, but it's definitely still very usable and significantly better than digital typing would be. And this is actually one of those cases where the rubberized bezels helps because they keep the keyboard in place along with those magnets. And then yeah, best part is when you're done, if you just want to pack it up and store it, the keyboard can stay inside and the laptop closes perfectly gapless and flat. That is nice.